Hello and welcome to the Angus Report, a news program geared toward cattle producers. I'm Bob Cervera.
And I'm Paige Wallace. From American Angus Association headquarters in St. Joseph, Missouri, we bring you the week's top headlines, including a look at the Obama administration's proposed federal budget. What consequences are in store for agriculture?
An Oklahoma economist breaks down the latest USDA cattle inventory report.
We learn helpful tips for calving season.
And there's strength in numbers. We go behind the scenes at one of the U.S. seed stock sector's largest data processing centers, the American Angus Association.
This is the Angus Report.
Our top story for the week. The Obama administration has released its 2013 proposed federal budget, and with it, possible repercussions for cattlemen. While the more than $700 million in USDA budget cuts came as no surprise, many farm and ranch groups are concerned about funding priorities. The president's budget proposes a reduction in the estate tax exemption level at $3.5 million, with a maximum tax rate of 45%. Now, as expected, the proposed budget would eliminate direct farm payments, but also calls for a reduction in crop insurance funding. Now, Congress will take the president's budget proposal into consideration while it begins the appropriations process.
The USDA's recently released U.S. cattle inventory report continues to attract attention. The report shows the smallest cattle inventory since the 1950s and just more than 5.2 million heifers being retained as replacements. In this report from Oklahoma State University, Daryl Peel breaks down the numbers.
You know, if we knew for sure that the drought was over and going forward we were going to at least have normal or average conditions, you know, I think we're looking in the Southern Plains, depending on exactly where we're at in the Southern Plains, we're looking at 3 to 4 years minimally to see some of these areas recover. You know, part of that's a question of the forage resource involved, and that depends on where you are. If you're talking about introduced forages, they can potentially recover faster, but the farther west you go and you get into native range, many of those areas are going to need at a minimum 3 to 4 years probably to fully recover. The other part of it is the financial implications of recovery. We're starting with very low cattle numbers. We know numbers are going to be tight, and prices for these replacement females will be extremely high. And so I think, you know, realistically, just from an economic standpoint, folks are not going to be able to rebuild as fast as they might be inclined to do typically. I think we're going to need to take a somewhat slower paced recovery, and it's going to take 2 or 3 years to rebuild those heifer numbers that allow us to recover those herd levels.
The success of any cattle operation hinges on the number of healthy calves born during calving season. A few helpful tips can increase successful birth rates and long-term survivability of calves.
Well, you know, the best thing is probably checking those cows every 3 hours, because then you can kind of determine how long those cows have been in those different stages and if they're progressing like they should be. That's your major factor. Not allowing things to take its natural course, maybe, you know, after that the water sac has come out, those feet aren't moving along, you know, just kind of being on top of things. Some research has shown that if you get in there earlier on versus later on, increases in weaning weights show up, 40 to 42 pounds difference. Cows come back in heat faster, and they just get bred quicker. You know, just watching those EPDs, looking for the calving ease bulls that you need for a certain kind of cows.
A jobs report released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics indicates positive U.S. job growth, and that's a positive indicator for meat demand, according to industry experts. Unemployment rates fell to 8.3%, its lowest level since February 2009. Total non-farm employment rose to more than 132 million people, and private sector payrolls continued to lead the way on employment growth, gaining 257,000 in January.
The American Angus Association welcomes a new regional manager to its ranks. Covering the far western region, Kurt Kangas is now the go-to person for Angus information in Arizona, California, Nevada, and Utah. A true cattle enthusiast, Kurt looks forward to being a part of the Angus community.
I'll be at the events and the sales, definitely, shows. So I'll be around, and I'll probably pop in on some people and visit with them also, as many as I can. I believe that people really buy the people behind the cattle is really what this business is about. Obviously the cattle first, but the interactions with the people is what I'm excited about.
Contact Kurt for help locating Angus seed stock and to answer questions about association programs and services.
American Angus Association members interested in becoming more effective ag leaders are encouraged to apply for the 5th Annual Beef Leaders Institute by March 1st. BLI is designed for association members 25 to 45 years old to provide insight into the beef industry while enhancing their knowledge of the association and strengthening leadership skills. BLI is scheduled for June 17th through the 20th and is funded through the Angus Foundation. Visit angus.org to apply.
When the Angus Report returns, Jude Camper of Washington State University sets the record straight when it comes to the environmental impact of the cattle industry.
Plus, we take a look at the processing power behind the American Angus Association's weekly release of EPDs.
Visit angus.org to continue watching this episode of the Angus Report.